So, so the recording has started, and again, if you can, put your personal phone on mute, and then, if you need to talk, just unmute it and ask a question. You, so and then so if you mute your phone, then unmute your phone if you have a question. But then also, you have the instant message, a little chat too, so you can chat with me, so I can just say hello, and then here is the chat if you want to ask a question. So if you ask a question, there we go. I'll send that to all. So you have that. So in case you want to, ping me a message or something while we're going on. So anyway, so let's get going today. Today's where we at, October 13th. We do our bi-weekly web training, and we're on a series called Lead Generation, and this week we're going to be doing SOI. So which I believe is, your business should be, that should be like the main, what I call your bread and butter, and that of your business that will finance other businesses as you work your sphere. You'll find that most agents, when I take an agent and we look at their business, 80 to 90 or more of a higher percentage of their business comes from SOI and SOI referrals. So, but yet they spend their money on everything but it. That always amazed me. I mean, and I've been guilty of that. I've bought and, I've purchased many, 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 many shiny toys or tools or whatever that didn't really work. The only guy that made money was the guy selling the toys. So anyway, so I'm guilty of that. I've done that over the years. And then, as you focus and learn where your business comes from, and then start putting more energy into that. So let's get going on that. So SOI, right? So the first question you have to ask is, what is an SOI, right? It stands for Sphere of Influence. Some people call it COI, which is Center of Influence. So my definition is an SOI is someone that will use you for their real estate needs and or refer you to their friends and family, right? That's what an SOI is. Okay. So then you say, okay, research shows that everyone knows 6 people a year that are going to move, right? So everybody knows 6 people a year to move. So what if you had a database of 200 people? That's potentially 1,200 people that are moving. Well, we know that there will be redundancy. That's, where more than one person will know the same person, because of your sphere, a lot of your sphere kind of know each other as well. So even if there was a 60% redundancy, that's still 480 people a year potentially you have in a leveraged database, right? So here's the problem though. Your SOI, they don't notice people that are moving the way we do, right? So you're familiar with the reticular activator. A lot of stuff, I preach it over and over and over and over again, but until you can recite my webinars verbatim, then I'm just going to keep pounding them in your head so that it becomes second nature to run your business this way. So a reticular activator is when, let's say you buy a Chevy, you start noticing Chevys everywhere, right? So we know we have a reticular activator, that our reticular activator will notice people that are moving, right? We see people that are moving. And I always use the analogy, we could be at a stadium at a heavy metal concert, 2 guys on the other side of a stadium are talking about moving or whatever. We can't actually hear the words, but we just know it's happening. Like the hair on our head sticks up a little bit, like our body just like pays attention, like somebody's talking about moving somewhere. So that's how in tuned we are, but our clients are, right? So you see what you focus on. Our clients aren't focused on, or our database, they're not focused on other people moving. We are, right? So we need to train our people to notice people that are moving. That's the game. We have to train our people. Now that takes time. This isn't like the age old, I did a mailer once, it didn't work. Right. Well, of course it didn't work over one mailer or whatever. You have to continually, reach out and touch your sphere. Keller Williams or Gary Keller in the book, Millionaire Real Estate Agent, did a thing called the 33 touch. And that was done with some research done by Hobbs and Herder. And it was also dissection of millionaire real estate agents and how they ran their businesses. So So that's how you use a system like that to train your SOI to start noticing. After a while, they'll start noticing, right? So we need to train, and then we need to train them to call us. You always have a friend. Oh, I gave my friend your number. Did you ever hear from him? Like, so no, I didn't. And then say, boy, I really, really appreciate that. So hey, let's do this. Why don't you go ahead and give me their number, and I'd be glad to give them a call, right? So we need to train them to call us. And now it's great. Now, if they tell you they did that, you need to reward that behavior, and we'll get into that a little bit, right? So how do we do that? So we talked about first we have to gain mind share. So the 33 touches in the book, The Being a Real Estate Agent. If you haven't read that book, I highly recommend it. So and then the best way to do the 33 touch is you do 24 mailers. That's 2 mailers a month. Now you just have 9 pieces left over. If you have a husband and wife, and then so you have 2 birthdays and an anniversary, that's 3 more pieces right there. So you're up to 27. If you make 4 phone calls a year, right, you're up to 31. Now 33 is not a magic number. If you're doing 0 today and you just did 24 mailers, you're good to go. Not good to go. It's a massive improvement. That's the key. Mailers alone will get you some business, but you have to make some type of contact, whether it be voice to voice or face to face, or even a text messaging, a text message where they're actually communicating back. I'm hearing some background noise. If you could put your phones on mute, that'd be great. So we don't hear the background noise. We are recording, so I'd appreciate some background muting your phones. So the 24 mailers, plus if you call them 4 times a year, once a quarter, that brings you up to 28. Like I said, 3 phone calls. 3, 2 birthdays and an anniversary, it gives you 31. And then you just have to fill in 2 pieces. But the foundation will evolve around the 2 mailers. And that's something we do here at Aubrey & Associates is, as a company, we actually provide 2 mailers a month as a fulfillment solution to our agents, to where they just have to make their calls, notes, and Popeyes, and we'll talk about that in a bit. So, but yes, we do actually have the full-on mail solution. Still hearing background noise, guys. I wish I'd really, really appreciate if you would mute your phones. So calls, notes, and Popeyes, we'll talk about that and what they are, and we'll go a little deeper into that. And then so you can group so we want to group or categorize your contacts, right? So the first thing is we want to call them is A+. We have A+ clients, right? These are people that have sent you multiple referrals in the past, right? These are A+. Okay? So guys, please, if you could, I'm going to ask you again, if you could mute your phones, I'd appreciate it. So really, it sounds like somebody's rolling down a rain gutter. So frustrating. So
sounds like a coffee maker, Rob.
Yeah, please walk away from your coffee maker, So, yeah, that's exactly what it is. They must have laid their phone down next to it. So, anyway, A clients are people most likely to refer you, right? So A pluses are people that have sent you referrals in the past, and then A clients are people that most likely to refer you, right? And then B clients are people who would refer you if you asked and show how, right? So if asked and shown how. So these are people, you got people in your database. Do you actually ask for referrals? You have to ask. You can't be afraid to ask. If you don't ask, you're not going to get it, right? And then C clients are people who might refer you in the future. Right, so let's say you just had a past client right now, or somebody you're closing a transaction with. They haven't really had a chance. You haven't closed yet, so they haven't really been put in your system. So, and then D clients are people to be deleted from your database, right? So they're never going to refer you. They're going to refer to someone else, so you just get rid of them, So anyway, so that's how you categorize them, right? A+, A, B, and C, and then D's delete. So now let's talk about calls, notes, and Popeyes, right? So we mentioned that you should do 2 mailers a month first. That gives you 24 contacts right there just on the 33 touch. So if you do calls, so and all you do is call them up, right? So who do you call? You always start with your A+ clients, because those are the ones. Then you go to your A's and so forth, right? So, but you start with your A's and your A+. Now everyone, now don't just call them every time you do your calls. You want to circle through and work through your B's and your C's as well. So you just don't continually call the A's and the A pluses, because you might only have like 4 or 5 A pluses, maybe 10 A's. So you just can't call them every week. You have to kind of mix it up a little bit. So, but those are who you start with, right? And then, so how do you call them and what do you ask? So let's say you're in the MLS, you saw a great property and make a great rental property, right? You just call them up and say, hey, I was looking online today and I came across this great property and I was wondering, who do you know that may be considering looking at an investment property or something, or just maybe looking to buy a home? And they're like, I don't know. So just okay, great, I appreciate that. And so let me ask you, I mean, you don't have to go into when you're planning on moving, but you just say, hey, I appreciate you taking the time to think about that. And by the way, if you know of someone that's considering buying or selling a home, do they call it the mayor campaign. Do you have an agent you refer them to? You want to make sure you qualify them. If they're already A pluses, you already know that. So you just call them up, chat with them, just call up and say, hey, I saw a great house. And it's just a touch. But then after you talk to them, we'll talk about that. So same with Popeyes, right? You do the kind of similar thing with A pluses and A's. Those are your main Popeyes, right? So you pop by, did the same thing. You just, hey, you call them up and say, hey, I was going to be in the area, and I figured I'd swing by and say hi. That's a Popeye, right? So we'll talk about that. So what do you say? And so with the SOI calls, you always start with the Ford method, right? Y'all know what the Ford method is? Family, occupation, recreation, and dreams, right? Hey, how's the wife? How's the kids? How's your spouse, significant other, husband, whatever, right? How's it going at work? Did you guys do anything this summer? Do you have any plans for the holidays? You going anywhere for Thanksgiving? Those are kind of recreations. And then dreams. I mean, dreams, you have to actually know what they are, but you should always at least do the FOR and then get in there and just start a little bit of conversation, because you got to make the conversation about them. You need to be asking them questions. How's your family? How's work? And how was your summer? Type of thing, right? Of course, in the springtime, saying you guys got any big plans for the summer, that kind of stuff. So it's just basic stuff. So, and then you start going into, hey, I found this great house, might make a great rental property. Or you just say, hey, look, I always appreciate referrals. I was wondering, who do you know, right? And that's a big question. People say, do you know anybody? And the question is not, do you know anybody? The question is, who do you know? Right? Do you know anybody? Is a closed-end question. It's so easy to say no. Where if you say who do you know, then it has to be it's an open-ended question. They have to kind of think about it a little bit, right? So asking for referrals should be very nonchalant, right? So by the way, who do you know that may be considering buying or selling a home? Don't make it a pressured sales tactic. Start talking about it and then kind of gradually ask the question. If you feel like you're asking a sales question, then you just don't have your dialogue internalized. When your dialogue is internalized, you're not pushing, you're not a salesperson. You're just having a natural conversation. So that's what to say, right? Notes. So what are notes, right? So we talk about handwritten notes, right? So handwritten notes are like so awesome, right? You just pull out a card, you write hey, it was great talking to you. I always enjoy, and maybe mention something that was in the conversation, let me know how this turns out or whatever. Something personal to them. And, because I always ask the question, what is the first piece of mail a person usually receives in their lifetime, right? A birthday card. When you were young from an aunt or a grandmother, you ripped it open looking to see how much money was in there. When I was a kid, you got $1 in cash. People did that. So, that's your first memory of mail. So what you want to do is you want to start sending these cards with, a blue envelope or something like that, just a square card. I mean, handwritten address, everything. And people open those. I promise you, they will open those. You can be gone. You could be out of the country for 6 months, come back and have a banker box full of mail. And then the first thing you're going to open is this, so that stuff works, right? So make touch. So you call them and then you touch them again with the card, right? So when you send a handwritten card, you tap into that past experience, right? So that's what you're doing. So you're actually attaching yourself to one of their wonderful experiences they had as a child. That's a good thing. You want to attach yourself to that. So anyway, so you send a note for someone you talk to and someone you pop by. So if you pop by, you do the same thing. So that's what notes are, right? So let's talk about Popeyes, right? You want to start with your A+ clients, right? And then give them a call, tell them you'll be in the area, stop by and say hello. always bring something of value, like those letter openers we just ordered, right? So we just ordered those letter openers that actually have a refrigerator magnet on it that you can slip your business card in. They're great. I have one on my fridge. I use it for everything. I even use it to open up like packages. Like say if I have a lunch or a meat package from the grocery store, I just slip it in there and slice it right open. Those things are awesome. So, and of course, I have one on my desk for my mail too. But I have it on the fridge. I mean, in fact, the one I have on my fridge, damn, I look good in the picture. It was so old. So, I mean, that's how long I've had it on the fridge. So, but anyway, so those are great little Popeye items to bring, something of value that they can keep, and put on there. Even a magnet, those magnets with the little notepads, grocery notepads, people keep that stuff. So, if you're a sport fan, you maybe want to do like a joint BYU and U of U calendar, football schedule, something like that. Just something they'll throw in the fridge, and keep for a while. So, or anything. I mean, just I love the popcorn, right? You give them a little popcorn, plastic popcorn bucket with a thing of popcorn in there, microwave, and then like a gift card, a red box of gift cards so they can buy a movie. I just wanted to pop by. I figured I'd pop by and say hi. So just anything of value, because here's what happens, right? Same thing. So then conversation starts with the Ford method again, and then, but here's the thing. By giving a gift, right, a small token gift, you invoke the law of reciprocity, right? Now there's an unconscious debt that they have to you, and they, of course, can pay you with a referral, right? So, and that's the thing. So what you want to do is you want to give people things of value, contribute to them all the time, right? And so, like for example, Thanksgiving, we're going to be we're doing our Thanksgiving pie giveaway coming up here in November. So we send out a letter to our SOI. We call them up. We get we the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. They can come by the office, and from 3 to 7, they can pick up their pie. We order pies from Marie Callender, and people love the Marie Callender pies. They come with the tin and everything. So, and it costs you about $11 a pie. And if you send it out to your SOI, you might have, anywhere from a half a dozen to a dozen pick them up. But it's collectively, we negotiate a good price. So, I mean, these are about $15 pies we're getting for $11. So those are, again, these are things of value given to people, and and you're attaching yourself to it. So, and now they have a debt. They have this unconscious debt, and then then you keep contacting them, and the way to pay you back on the unconscious debt is to give you a referral. So, I mean, that's how cool is that, right? So that's the game, right? So, and then if somebody gives you a referral, you immediately reward the behavior for someone giving you a referral, right? Now, it doesn't matter how qualified the referral is. That's not their job to qualify. You immediately call. I say it's more important to reward the behavior than it is to actually call the referral. I mean, you obviously have to call the referral, but I encourage you to literally, if someone calls you up and says, hey, I have a referral for you, and then you like immediately, show your gratitude, and and immediately you hang up the phone, you handwrite a card, right? So handwrite a card, and then I say put in $25, right? Drive it to the post office. So you want that reward in their hand the next day. So if you can get it to the post office today, they'll get it tomorrow. So you write a handwritten card. Hey, I just want to let you know how much I appreciate you. There's $25. The $25 isn't about, it's not about a ton of money or anything. It's just, again, what did I say we're accessing? So someone gives you a referral and you send them a card with $25. They immediately access that past experience of getting a card when they were a kid from grandma with $1 in it, right? So that's what you're attaching yourself to, that behavior. How cool is that, right? So when you have that behavior, and that's what we want to always attach ourselves to, positive experiences, so that's how they always remember us. Now, you can bet your bottom dollar, somebody send you a referral, and you send them a card, and they got a card in the next day in the mail with $25 in it. You can bet your bottom dollar they're going to be looking for some more. I mean, they're unconsciously. I mean, they're not going to sit there and go, I can make a living doing this, but they are unconsciously just going to go do it, right? Because you're rewarding the behavior. So that's that's how you always reward a behavior. And again, it's not their job to qualify them, right? It's not. You don't worry about that. And if you close on a good transaction, then give them a nice gift afterwards. Say, hey, just want to let you know your friend that you referred to us, we closed on a home, and then here's take them out to a show and a dinner. I mean, spend some money on them. Take them out and take them to a nice dinner, take them to a concert, take them to a Hale Theater production or something. But just, make it a reward and memorable for them. So anyway, so I'm going to open it up to Q&As. So any thoughts, questions, concerns, hallucinations, whatever you got going on there, you can always talk by chat, or you can always just unmute your phone and just ask questions. Hello, anybody there? Anybody got a question? So again, I wonder if part of me says, do I have a shy audience, or do I just cover the material so well that nobody has a question, right? Is that the case? So anyway, well, if nobody has any questions, I'm going to go ahead and end the recording, and then we'll just call it a day. So I encourage you to pick up the phone, call somebody. We used to have an expression years ago, and this was before 10-digit dialing. Our expression was, when people would say, "Who do I call?" and we'd say, "Call anybody that had 7 digits in their phone number," right? That was their question. So anybody, in my opinion, anybody that's like 17 and 3/4 years old is a candidate to be called, because if they're considering buying a home, you can get them qualified, and then by the time they turn 18, they can sign a REPSI. So, that's the way. So that's really, pretty much everybody you can contact. The other thing to do, I guess a little side note, I didn't put that in there, you can go through Facebook, monitor your SOI, and communicate with them, right? So like if they post something, don't just like it, actually make a comment, so if you make a comment, or if you see something like, that reminded you, somebody say, I don't know, you hear some news that might be new, it might not be posted yet. So like post it on, and tag one of your friends that they, that it would be an interest to them, that kind of stuff, because then it goes up on their wall, that kind of stuff. So, and you can actually post by having groups. You can just post to a group of people on Facebook where it only shows up on their flow, and you can just create an SOI group and just post it or flow, something real estate related. It doesn't have to be great. I mean, doesn't have to be pushy. One of the things I like to do is go to my IDX site. Pro Agent's got a great Facebook button on there. If you see a really cool listing, just click on the Facebook button and then type in there, hey, I was searching around at homes and I saw this way cool house. And just like, and then you put it on your group, your SOI list or something like that. And then it shows up on all their streams. And, you're not pushing. You're just, what do you call it? Posting on there that it was something cool, anything like that, right? You hear any good news about interest rates or anything? So try and be educational, and then they actually appreciate you. So anyway, so again, without further ado, if there's no Q&A, if there's no questions, I'm going to go ahead and end the recording and end the call. And as always, if you have, feel free to reach out, contact me anytime. My telephone number is 801-999-8209. Again, 999-8209. And of course, my email is rob@aubrey, AUBREY, rob@aubrey.net. Thanks. Make it an awesome day.